So what we had there was Steve Keychain, giving some really important points on how and why to qualify. And I want to go over just a couple of those here because at the Super Conference, of course, we have a chance to work one-on-one with the different attendees there, both in the breakout rooms and in informal sessions. Plus, we're going out to the bars and the clubs for a couple of nights. And that's really a lot of time to, both see different guys' qualification game and to tell them what they're doing right and wrong and to fix any problems, and also to demonstrate it over and over, because we'll be meeting different women and basically picking them up with students they're watching. Most of the time it goes pretty well, so most of the time you'll see there's really good stuff for them to model. For you guys that are watching the DVD at home, there's some other points that I really want to make sure that you've got. Number one, definitely do what we call a poor man's qualification. That's write down 3, 5, whatever it is, specific non-physical things that you're looking for in a woman. And just get into the habit of finding out whether she's got them or not. And that just be a normal part of your conversation, something that happens, within the first 10 or 20 minutes. I mean, you can make the decision if you want to break, if you like her anyway and she doesn't have them, by all means go for it. But get into the habit of at least doing the screening. There's a couple of different, for further resources on this, there's a couple of different volumes of the interview series. There's one on, the first one's called Qualification, that goes pretty heavily through, bait, hook, reel, release model. And then there's another one called Issues and Qualification that's a little more advanced and overlays on top of that. Both of those I'd recommend. Really, the idea with qualification also is that it should feel natural. So you don't want it, if you ever get a question, actually at any point when you're meeting a woman, if she ever asks, are you taking a survey? It means your delivery isn't natural and you're asking a question that she doesn't understand why you're asking. So, you wouldn't, say I love women that are, into old movies. If I just sort of, ask women hey, are you into old movies? She's like, yeah. I'm like, cool. Do you cook Italian food? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, cool. Do you like to travel? She says, yes. It sort of gets kind of weird and boring. Like, why are you asking all these questions? So like Keychain said, you can precede it with things, explain either beforehand why you're interested. Like, I love people who do X. That's a great way to do it. Or another one, just say, I really like X, and see if she responds. So there's different, levels of qualification. It's not just necessarily asking questions. Another thing is don't be too serious about it. Like, it's flirting and meeting women, it's a theme throughout all these DVDs. It should be fun. It should be playful. So you don't want to, if you're coming across really serious when you're doing qualification, it can really sort of take the mood down a little bit. And I guess as another final point, that we do show these phases in order in the triad model, and that's a small simplification because even though this is where most of the qualification happens, don't be shy to do a little bit of qualification later on in comfort. Just throw a little bit of it in there, or even sort of long term. I mean, it's good to show that you've got standards and that you're willing to stick to those standards.